I'm talking about. Like the computer screen's ahead of the phone, so I never know if I'm showing. And then I'll go back and watch it, and sometimes the audio will be off. What's up, everybody? What's up, bottom tier?
What's going on?
Nothing. Can you see the sleep in my face? Like, oh man, literally, like woke up maybe 10 minutes ago, but I wasn't like fully like aware that I was awake, and so I slowly made my way over here, and then I looked at the time. I was like, oh, I got 4 minutes, and so I didn't have my phone. I was trying to get the tripod set up, the laptop set up, try to get everything set up, and then I'm like, oh, I got to go send bottom tier the link. So yeah, my bad, dude. We didn't even get to talk ahead of time. Hey, check it out. Sith is here, man, alive. Like, yo, I'm knocking out sales calls, so I can't really listen, but wanted to say hey and hit the like button. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Fantastic, fantastic. Wellbore was here earlier or is here. And Neil collects. No stopping bottom tier joining now. What's up, Neil? Neil, I gotta message you. I gotta message you later today to see if you want to jump in on Saturday's stream. Since I'll be doing my worst covers, and since that's the kind of challenge you created, I'll see if you want to jump in on that, Neil, on Saturday.
I'm waiting to be tagged again.
No, well, you mentioned that in your video that if you got, or maybe it was on my live stream, I don't know. You said that if you got tagged again, you would come up with a new top five. Or so I said, well, I'm going to tag him again. You can't say these things and not be about it,
right?
And I need to finish watching that video too. Like I've started it 2 or 3 different times because I'll be at work. That's usually whenever I get in some content. But depending on how bad the night is, I will forget to, or I won't get to watch it. I'll forget to go back to stuff.
Yeah.
See, this is how bad I was this week. Is I forgot to even ask David if he wanted to be on Monday. What's up, David? Comments to Wrestling. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to replace you with bottom tier. It just. He messaged me yesterday talking about, well, I don't even know if this was before you went to see Spider-Man. I think you messaged me and I just said, hey, do you want to be on tomorrow or whatnot?
I think you talked to somebody's live chat. I think it was Raging Cajun's live chat.
Oh, is that what it was? See, that was right before I was going to bed. So, like, man, dude, it's all a blur. This earache / infection, which I'm trying to beat it without going to the doctor. I need to just go to the doctor.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's that toxic masculinity, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love it. Zach's collections in the chat. Wrestling. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about wrestling. I think. I don't know. That was the plan. What's up, dude? Huh? Oh, okay. Ollie James is going to make his appearance.
Hi, bottom's here.
Hey, so him and his son went to go see the Spider-Man movie yesterday.
What?
Yeah, they went to go check it out. Y'all enjoyed it?
You'll love it, Ollie.
Well, he saw it. He saw it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, man, when you messaged me, I didn't send it back to you, but I was like, man, that's awesome that like you guys get to go to the movies together. Did your wife go, or was just the two of y'all?
She's like 8.5 months pregnant, so she didn't really want to get out. But yeah,
well, when we went, it was just the two of us, and it's like, I don't know, it's just a cool thing that we can bond over because Lady Prime happened to be at work, and it was just, it was a cool thing. Every other time we've gone to the movies, it's been the three of us, and so that was the first time we went with just the two of us. It was fantastic. Spine Tick says, I'll leave it running so you get the view. Well, appreciate that. Oh, man. Let's I said Spine Ticks, but Sith, yeah. Super Russ 9000, yo guys, Super Russ continuing to kill it. Saw his picture with his Ninja Turtle shirt. I think that was a size small he was wearing.
Small.
But he's killing it. Neil says he will think about it. All right, Neil. Hey, Big Bean McFly, the comic guy. I got to make sure I say that right because everybody was referring to him in 22's chat. I think it was a week and a half ago or whatever as Big Bean. I kept saying McFly. Just Back to the Future. I couldn't let that go.
I love the
Good to see
super
you in the
long
chat.
names like this guy and Dr. Von Hoot. They have the huge long names.
I usually try to go with just like one name from the long names because it's a lot to type if you're on the phone. If I've noticed when you do on the laptop, if you're in the chats, you can hit @ and just start spelling their name, and then that's an easy way to tag everybody in the chat. On your phone, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
Neil says hi to everyone that just came in again. But yeah, awesome to have Big B here in the chat. It's a new name I haven't seen. David says, no worries. It is difficult to plan doing things while the kids are home anyways. All right, David. All right. All righty. Fantastic. Everybody telling Ollie what's up. Neil collects. I invited everyone to play Fortnite this weekend. One turned me down and the other just ignored me.
Oh,
Neil messaged me about playing Fortnite while we were driving to the store. We were gonna make spaghetti this weekend, so I wound up making spaghetti when we got home. Cut to 3 hours later, and Ollie's like, "Well, are y'all gonna ask Neil if I can play?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is something you should have asked when we first got home." Mike in the chat, fantastic. Ollie, that cat, he's gonna destroy everything. That's Lucky, the demon cat. It really looks comfortable with the way you're holding it right there.
He's a savage.
He's a savage, yes. Let's see. David says, sorry if I missed anyone listening while playing video games. Oh, that's fantastic. What game are you playing, David? All right. Let me just run through the chat real quick, and then we will discuss some stuff. Yes, Rust, you're smaller than me. Ollie, get this cat. Put him in the restroom for now. He's going to knock over the camera.
He always messes with wires. He's a vicious cat.
Zach's Collection says, by the way, black and gold love. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even realize you're wearing your Pirates hats. Fantastic.
yeah. Allen Buccos.
I was following them and keeping up with baseball as a whole early on. Hold on one second. Oh, he's playing Jurassic World 2 Evolution. Okay, fantastic. And I think Neil said that game was free if you have whatever it's called. Nice, building them parks. All right. So sorry. Hold on. I can manage this chat. There we go. All right. So how are the Pirates doing? I was following early on during the season when the Astros were doing terrible, and so now I know that they're kind of like battling first place / 2 or 3 games behind the Rangers for the West lead. How are the Pirates doing?
We got as hot as being like the second best team in baseball, and then we fell off a cliff. The train went off the tracks. I guess everybody started hitting slumps. And now we're kind of like crawling our way back into a serious wild card contention picture. We just got 2 in a row on the Mets. That's crazy.
Fantastic. Yeah, like there was a lot of great stories from the Pirates this year. Like homeboy sitting there in the minors forever, finally getting a shot at the big leagues, and then oh man, I don't even remember who it was. Who was it that resigned with the Pirates, or he's gonna stay there longer, or whatever it was? I cannot remember. But it was a big deal.
McCutcheon.
So say it again.
Andrew McCutcheon. Like we drafted him, and then he went to the Phillies and the Yankees, and now he's back. It's supposed to be his swan song, but I don't know. He's playing too good for me to think he's going to retire this year.
McCutcheon has the greatest baseball card of all time. I think it was when he was with the Phillies. And I don't own it. I've seen that picture so many times, but I don't know what series it's from. Fantastic. I gotta figure out what series that is, because I would love to have that card in my collection.
Yeah.
Kutch getting his 2000th hit. That's pretty awesome. That's what Zach says.
Oh, yeah.
And not to be outdone, Mike is going to make sure to throw in the Ghost Stros. So 2 Pirates, 2 Astros fans here. Big B says, bottom tier got an awesome hashtag comic book shout out from 22 Comics yesterday.
Yeah. I joked with 22 that I was the first view on that video, too.
Oh, man. Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I've been putting out little videos in the stories of my Instagram, and it'll be like something funny, and I'm saying, oh, like this is how I react inside when Trev, the shipping guru, shows up to my live chat, or this is how I react inside, when Neil shows up. I'm trying to find one where like I'm disappointed, and I'm like, this is how I react when 22 Comics shows up. Usually he's here on Monday, so We'll we'll, we'll see him later, I'm sure.
Oh
Lady
yeah.
Pride 29 is going to a meeting. All right. Zach says maybe one day before I shed my mortal coil, I'll see the Buccos in the World Series.
That's the
Dude,
plan.
what was it? Was it the 91 and 92 teams, or was it the 90 and 91 teams? Just man alive. I do remember that was the beginning of like my sports watching. This is around the time my stepdad kind of came to our family. Didn't really watch sports before that, but I do remember those two championship series with the Braves, and going to bed one night thinking I was going to see the Pirates in the World Series against the Blue Jays, I think, and waking up the next day and my cousin telling me how crazy the finish of that game was, that the Braves went to the World Series instead. I don't remember. It's something along those lines. Let's see, 1992 NLCS. Sid Bream broke every black and gold heart in existence. There we go. Neil collects, so I was not special.
Go ahead.
Neil collects this, so I was not special, man. I was thinking I was the only one. You sent them to everyone. Oh, talking about the tags in my stories. Well, I'm going to create one for every individual person that's a regular in the chat, Neil. So that's what that was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was like 3 years old when this all happened, so I'm going off like documentaries, and I don't know the exact story. Zach could probably tell you the actual story, but it has something to do with this like a crucial moment in like Game 7 with the Braves, and the pitcher, the infield, or somebody reaches back to Barry Bonds telling him to come into the infield and play closer defense because it wasn't really a spot where you thought the Braves were going to pop a home run. I think they just needed a hit or two. And he like flips off the pitcher or the infielder and like doesn't do what's required of him. And then the Braves get the hit and like win the game. It's just like awful.
Oh man, alive. 3 at that time. That just way to make a guy feel old, man. Way to make a guy feel old. Alrighty, so Neil telling Lady Prime, good luck with the meeting. Bottom tier. So you weren't there. That's what I was gonna do, and I'm gonna let you know ahead of time. So cornbread cowboy or something like that. All right. So you know his videos where he's like walking in slow motion or something like that. So I finally found one where there's not text on it, and I was gonna add it to my stories, and I was gonna put bottom tier collector in a hurry to get to my live stream, but he's walking there, so because. You have a habit of coming in late and saying, "Oh, I woke up late," or I should, which it doesn't matter, dude. Like I said, like it's Saturday, I'm gonna try to be there, and you didn't show up at all. Yeah. Not that I'm mad. Once again, I realized I do an early show, but I wanted to tag you in one of those videos. So I was like, I think he'll laugh at this, but then again, he may get mad. So I'm gonna tell him ahead of time. No. But when I find it, it's gonna be a while. All right, Zach says, yep, then Sid Bream, a pirate the season before, drives in the winning run. Oh, that is – that's a Greek tragedy right there. Man alive. All righty. So for wrestling talk, we're 14 minutes in. You asked me yesterday what we were going to talk about. And I said, well, let's go with something you're familiar with. And I said, let's do WrestleMania 8 because it's something you kind of just covered in your WrestleMania series, and I had just watched one of the matches. I had watched the Bret Hart Roddy Piper match, kind of when you were doing that because you were messaging me, letting me know parts of the show you were watching.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was after you released your review. So I watched it on YouTube in the shower. Because not only do I read comics digitally in the shower, I watch wrestling in the shower. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, Manny's here. Fantastic. Bobby's here. Fantastic. Oh, man. Oh, awesome. Nice to see different names in the chat. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Gotta be.
So then I was like, well, you know what? Let's go with WrestleMania 8. Let's go with WrestleMania 8 because is it the most recent one you've covered?
Yeah, I need to go on WrestleMania 9.
Have you watched it all?
I haven't even started it.
Okay, all right. So what I'm thinking was that you hadn't started it. Good luck. That's my thoughts on WrestleMania.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you this. WrestleMania 9 has beautiful visuals because it's outside of Caesar's Palace, so it's a very very small venue. You go from the huge Hoosier Dome to Caesar's Palace, and cool visuals. Very weird for the Undertaker to come out with bright sun shining, but yeah, it's it's different. It's different. Well, WrestleMania 8 was supposed to be the last, the swan song of Hulk Hogan, or at least they teased it anyways, right?
Yeah.
This was like his big retirement. And I think you said it in your review that because they do the gimmick of the double main event, that it shouldn't have been the main event. It was him and Sid wrestling for, in the main event, him and Sid, because it's Hulk Hogan's retirement match. What should have been the main event?
I think the title, I'm an old school guy. The title match should always be the main event. And they pulled that NWA. The NWA did this, so I can't say it's just a WWF thing. NWA has put like the title match in the middle of a pay-per-view or whatever they call it.
Yeah, NWA/WCW, I think, is the one that the only one I've ever seen with a triple main event where it's advertised as a triple main event. Because WWE, WWF nowadays will always say, well, you're in a main event. Like WrestleMania 29, the last match was The Rock versus Cena 2, Once in a Lifetime Part 2, if you will. But their featured matches were Brock Lesnar, Triple H, CM Punk versus Undertaker. I think there's one more, the kind of big time matches. Well, you're in a main event. It was like, no, there's only one main event. And
Right.
so it does seem like a joke that here's the world title. It's close to the show at every WrestleMania, except for WrestleMania 1, but the world champion was in a tag team title match. And it was the biggest storyline going into that WrestleMania. The biggest storyline going into that WrestleMania. No, it's going to be Hulk Hogan's retirement. That wasn't even... It would be different if it had been like known for a while that it was Hogan's retirement. To me, it just seemed like a month before the show said, well, this might be his last match. Because it was originally announced. What's that?
I don't have any pretext to this, so that's awful to find out they just sold this for a month.
The main event was originally announced Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair.
Oh, wow.
They were going to do the best from WCW versus the best from WWF. And apparently the show didn't do good at like house shows. They would test the match and the crowd wasn't really into it. I still don't understand why they still wouldn't have gone with it, because to me it still would have sold pay-per-views. But they pulled the plug on it. They said, pull the plug on it. They're going to go, okay, we're going to do Hogan, Sid at WrestleMania, and then Savage, Flair for the title. They put together this great storyline where Flair doctors these photos. He was with Elizabeth before Macho Man. And Elizabeth, if you're not sure what wrestling is or who this is Macho Man's valet, his manager. Yeah. And they do the storyline. They do the storyline where she was with me first, and he shows these photos. And part of the whole gimmick throughout the pay-per-view or storyline is they're going to put her on the big screen, Flair and Elizabeth old photos. And that show should have ended with Flair and Savage.
Yeah, now, that's the premier storyline.
Yes, dude. And I mean, that match had heat. I can remember my grandma, who hated watching wrestling, hated the fact that we watched wrestling, stopping in her tracks while she was sleeping in the bedroom, listening to this interview /what. And she looks at me, she's like, what's going on? Because of the Flair Elizabeth situation and the photos. Like, she's on the edge of her seat, standing up. Like, is that true? Did that really happen? And dude, I sold that thing, dude. I was like, yeah, man. He says he was with her beforehand. I don't know. I think so. I've seen the photos. They look real. Like, I know what's going on, but I was part of the show at that point. So,
that should be the litmus test for every wrestling match. If the old lady gets up out of her seat and starts yelling, it's a good match.
Oh yeah. Let me highlight the chat before I ask you the age-old, well, not the age-old question. The second time we've done this, a good or great series. Just everybody telling everybody what's up. Fantastic. Oh, there we go. I went back too far is what it was. Shameless plug. Cat Fan unboxed an A-OK for me. Made my day. His reaction. Oh, awesome. I've got to go check that out. Fantastic, Manny. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. David says Jake Roberts versus Randy Savage for the WWF champion should have been the WrestleMania 8 main event, in my opinion. Oh, you know what? I've heard David say this, and I think he could be right because that was building up since SummerSlam, where, at the wedding reception, the match made in heaven, Savage opens a gift and a cobra pops out. So that's a good point, David. That's a good point. If David was the booker, if he could go back in time, that would have been the main event of WrestleMania.
And then you could have had the Undertaker Roberts feud after he's got the title, which puts that rivalry over so much.
I like that you automatically assume that Jake is going to win the title.
Well, I'm a big Jake Mark. Well, I've become
I know you are. That's why I say that. Big B says subbing all people in the chat. Fantastic. I appreciate that. All right. So, Ric Flair versus Randy Savage, WrestleMania 8 WWF title match. Ric Flair wins the title at the Royal Rumble, 1992 Royal Rumble. It's one of the greatest performances. Everybody says it's one of the greatest Royal Rumbles of all time. Flair comes out looking like a stud. He enters number 3, wrestles for over an hour. World champion versus the challenger, Randy Savage. Good or great match?
When I did the podcast, I was probably leaning more towards a good match. But now that I'm rewatching it, in fact, I've got it on mute playing right now, the final minutes of the match. I'm sitting here thinking, what about this match doesn't work for me? And it really is the pace. But then I started thinking, well, how does this pace work for these two characters and their gimmicks and the way they wrestle? And I'm just starting to think, it makes sense that it's a slow match because Ric Flair is going to want to punish Macho Man and be cocky and take his time. And he's not going to want to have a lot of energy in the match. So I guess that's my opening statements.
Great. And when I say good or great, you can always say it's a bad match too. So it's just, these are the matches that are considered. These are the matches that are considered good or great or classics. But were they really good, or were they great, or were they bad? So your opening statement is you had an issue with the pacing, but putting some logic behind it, you see the pacing is a little off. You want, I guess, to be a little faster?
I guess, yeah, I would prefer a little more energy, but it makes sense for Flair and how Flair tells a story in the ring that it is a slow match. So I have to respect that in the same sense because it does make sense why the pacing is the way it is.
Okay, so I put the match on before the stream. I fell asleep during it. That's not indicative of that's not indicative of the match. That's just, hey, I worked last night with little sleep, worked overnight, but I kept waking up during parts of it. I gotta tell you, from that little bit of waking up, like I remember the match. Oh man, I forgot to bring it over here. WrestleMania 8 is one of the few WrestleManias I owned on VHS, and it's the oversized VHS cover. That match is a mess. That match is it's just a mess. But it makes sense because Savage is not in his right mind, right? He's not wrestling a match. Savage is fighting a fight. This guy is talking about his girl. This guy is saying all kinds of things, disrespecting his manhood, challenging his manhood. This is a fight. This is not a match. It's a fight. Yeah. And so that, to me, it works to help that match. Trying to think of what else I had to say about that. I want to say during that match, how all the WWF officials come out at some point. I want to say Shane McMahon is one of the officials at the time. Before he put himself on TV, he's in one of the bad suits. I could be wrong. I know he does that in other pay-per-views, but I think this is the first time I really noticed him when I go back and watch it. I think he is.
So is that when Elizabeth comes out and all the suits are telling her not to come out?
Yes. Good crowd for that match too. Like when she comes out, man, they pop like crazy. But yes, yeah. I think one of the suits too loses his shoe because they're all wearing tennis shoes with their suits. And I get it because they need to be active and they got to run out for that. And that is a long walkway to the ring. Yeah. So I take the stance, should have closed the show. It was a great match.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? You got anything else to say about it?
I complained about all the suits coming out because It just doesn't make sense to me. This has been a move Elizabeth and Macho have pulled off before. She comes out of the crowd to his rescue, and no one before has told her, you need to go backstage. So, like, why are they doing it now? It's just kind of irritating, and they're kind of in the way, in my opinion.
It's just another bell and whistle for the match. But like I said, that's why it feels like a mess. It's almost like they told Elizabeth, look, Savage is out of his mind. We're so worried about what's going to happen if you go down there. She goes down there and chaos ensues. So,
and I got to add, we didn't touch on it. Mr. Perfect was a great assistant manager to Ric Flair in that match.
I forgot about that. I was just thinking about the commentary booth because Bobby the Brain Heenan, the heel commentator, but I mean, he's on another level because he's kind of in Ric Flair's pocket. He's kind of his manager, and he is just going off. He's going off. He's losing his mind when the match is in jeopardy. Him and Gorilla Monsoon arguing back and forth. I absolutely love that exchange. Like it's some of the greatest commentary work ever, just because of it's just how crazy Bobby the Brain is. Bobby the Brain, all timer of a wrestling character, manager, commentator. So yes, the commentary during that match is fantastic.
Yeah, every time Monsoon's like, "Will you stop?" Just get him going.
Oh, all right, great match. You say the same thing. Great match.
Yeah.
Don't answer this yet. Is it the best match on the card? Don't answer it yet, because I would say the other contender at that show, the other big match that is probably talked about is Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper, Intercontinental title match. Would you agree those are probably the top two matches from that show?
Easy. And what's frustrating about 8 for me is there's a lot of like fantastic matchups. The way it was billed, I was like, man, I really want to see these two or these two, but it was really just a match or two that I thought really stood out, and this being one of them, the Intercontinental title match.
I think they wasted a lot of time in this show. They did the interview with the Legion of Doom, and not just an interview backstage. They call them out to a platform there in the crowd. Like that's time you waste in the show.
Yeah.
They do that interview with Lex Luger. And I know that's, the remote, hey, we got him from WCW, but he's not even a WWF wrestler. He's a World Bodybuilding Federation competitor. It just seems like they wasted a lot of time at that show. And that's why when you have Tatanka versus Rick the Model Martel, it's a squash match, goes by fast.
Oh, yeah. Thank God it's a squash match.
Well, I don't know why bottom tier. I don't know why David Comics and Wrestling's favorite wrestler is on this show, Skinner against Owen Hart. That's just that to me is basically a jobber versus a competitor. So I don't know, but Skinner did make a WrestleMania appearance. Steve Kern. So yeah,
the Alligator Man or whatever they call him.
The Alligator Man with the dip just dripping down his shirt and everything. But another match that they just, goes by quick. So this is Owen Hart's second appearance. Appeared at WrestleMania 5 under the blue blazer outfit. We go through 6, 7. Where's he at? And I don't even know if he was part of I don't know if he was released in that time period or if he. David Comics and Wrestling. Skinner is underrated.
I love wrestlers that are so bad they're good, like Josephus, but I can't get behind Skinner. I just can't.
Oh, man. The Alligator Hunter gimmick is incredible. Here's Zach, poor Skinner, great wrestler and a very mediocre gimmick. Oh, no, bottom tier's gone. Oh, there you are. Okay, you bounced out for a little bit.
Glitch.
Oh. Are you there?
I should be.
Okay, I can hear you now. It's like the phone you were gone, but the computer screen you were there, but I'm like, is he frozen?
Uh-oh.
See, I don't know much about Skinner, his work outside of WWF. I don't know if it's Florida Championship Wrestling or Mid-South, something like that. I know he wrestled in some of those areas. I know he did a lot of work kind of as a trainer and stuff like that. Because I don't want to diss the guy. I don't want to say he's terrible. Just that character is terrible.
Right.
I just feel like that character doesn't belong at a show called WrestleMania. But
No.
I'm also thinking of WrestleMania where it's at nowadays versus where it was at then. But even then, it just seems like this is a comic journey. Says Skinner sucked. But Zach says Steve Kern, see, one hell of a wrestler.
They also had that tag match with the Mountie and Repo Man.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The 8-man match.
Yeah, which was a good match.
Mountie,
But Repo Man.
see, and there's another gimmick like Repo Man. See, Repo Man was Smash of Demolition. Demolition, one of the all-time great tag teams.
Yeah.
But they did the gimmick where they're trying to get Crush to go off on his own. Smash found nowhere to go because Axe had to retire. His back was hurting, so they gave him the Repo Man gimmick. Repo Man got a lot of play back in the day. If you go back and watch some of the early Raws, they build up over the course of a few weeks this big Macho Man versus Repo Man match. So I don't know, but yeah, it was Repo Man, the Mountie. The Mountie's great. The Mountie was one of the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, the Nasty Boys against. Is it Hacksaw, Sergeant Slaughter, Virgil, and who's the fourth man?
It's not Big Boss Man, or did you already say him?
It is Big Boss Man because he was playing a little bit as I was waking up, and he does that little almost a roundhouse, but he does a high kick. I was like, man, amazing for a big guy. Big B says, watching from work, got to run. Much love to all. Appreciate you being here, Big B. Big B, not Bigsby. Man alive. Zach's Collection says, does anyone remember his short-lived WCW gimmick as Stuart Payne when he came out as a golfer? Oh, are you talking about Smash? Was it Stuart Payne? Oh, man. I do remember, if he's talking about Smash, I do remember that. And he would come out, he would set up the little putting green, and he'd hit a hole-in-one just there in the ring. A little putt. Yeah, okay, so he was talking about Smash. Fantastic gimmick. I enjoyed that gimmick. Repo Man should have stuck to smashing. I agree. Is it Hacksaw Duggan? Yeah, it's Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, Big Boss Man, and Virgil. So Comic Journey says anything with Virgil in it is best is best forgotten. And it's funny because Virgil's wearing the mask because I guess Sid had broke his nose earlier that night. I mean, not earlier that night, earlier in prepping for WrestleMania, right? It was Stuart Payne briefly, but they changed it to Payne. Oh, they changed it when Payne Stewart passed away. Okay, I remember it under the other name, and I cannot think of it right now. But got you. Crazy. Zach is a wealth of knowledge. Zach may need to come on here, man, at some point. Maybe we'll talk about an old WCW pay-per-view. All righty. Manny says Santino's Cobra finishing move should quiet anybody who says wrestling is fake. Bottom Tier Collector is a huge Santino fan.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I love Santino.
Manny loves the Cobra. All right. Well, there's the one time where the Snake Charmer music is playing where he wants to go back and forth. Clearly, wrestling is real, right?
Yeah.
Well, so David says Blacktop Bully, I think it was. Yes, he was Blacktop Bully, but also after being the Blacktop Bully, he became the golfer at one point. The Blacktop Bully is famous for having a match with Dustin Rhodes on a highway. There was some pay-per-view in Mississippi. I didn't even know there's a place big enough to hold a pay-per-view in Mississippi. They're wrestling in the back of an 18-wheeler trailer, and they start on one end, and they got to get to the front of it and ring a bell or honk a horn. So Uncensored 95, I think. If because the Bottom Tier, I know, like, you're like, this is my neck of the woods. Like, I need to go watch. I'm sorry. But it is Uncensored 95. Okay, back to WrestleMania 8. We said the second match or two matches that hold this card up, that hold this show up. Savage Flair. I mean, you've got the story. This is all about story.
Yeah.
And in rework, of course, obviously, you've got two of the all-time greats. But I mean, this is that's more like, okay, story set. I would say Piper Brett is more like, okay, I want to see this match in the ring.
Yeah.
One is a fight, one is a match, I think. Even though Piper is notorious for being a brawler himself, Um, there it is, Mr. Hole-in-One Barry Darsow. I guess that's what I remember him. Yes, okay. Um, what are your thoughts on Brett versus Piper before they even get in the ring? I got to hear this out loud.
What is it now?
What is your thoughts on Brett and Piper at WrestleMania 8 before they get in the ring? They have a little head-to-head, face-to-face interview before they go out to the ring. Please, while we are face-to-face, tell me how bad Bret Hart is on the mic.
Like, Piper's setting up the energy. He's talking about, I've known the Hart family all my life, and I've known Bret Hart since neither grasshopper. And he's putting in these backhanded comments like he wasn't potty trained till he was 7 years old. Like, all this great, like, bait for Bret Hart to take and run with. And he's just, Bret Hart's just like, all I want is one thing, and you've got the belt, and I'm going to take it, Piper. And I'm just like, what? What?
So you're saying Bret Hart's bad on the mic?
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, bottom tier collector. I just kicked him off the stream. I can see him laughing over there.
To be fair,
hold on. You don't got audio. Go now.
Oh, my dog's fixing to bark. Hold on. Can you just take over the show right quick, and I'll get my dog situated.
All right. So this is great. I should have really just kicked you off then. No, I'm gonna. I'll pause you.
All right.
Oops. I'm trying to mic it. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So bottom tier collector and I have a running Instagram DM feud because he's always telling me how bad Bret Hart is on the mic, and so I'll message him back and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Bret Hart's great. And so at one point, I tried to explain to a bottom tier that Bret Hart's interviews, his mic work may sound plain to American ears, but in Canada, that stuff gets over like gangbusters. In Canada, to Canadians, that translates as I'm gonna stomp your guts in, I'm gonna rip your wiener off, stuff it in your face. But here in America, it just sounds like, well, I'm gonna take back what's mine. So that's a little joke me and bottom tier have. Yes. Correct, Zach. Piper, I've known you since you were knee high to a grasshopper. We used to play together. Of course, your shoes were always tied together, and your mom would make them sandwiches. Of course, one slice of meat in between them, but who cares? Piper, I'm sorry. I don't think Piper is one of the all-time greats. I get it. He was a great heel in the 80s. And I'm a fan of Piper, but I just don't see the great love that everybody had for Roddy Piper. I thought he was more silly than anything. Bret Hart was painfully dry on promos. Only time he shined was when he had that pro-Canada heel gimmick or heel run in the late 90s. I agree, Comic Journey. I agree, CJ, because I sent bottom tier some clips of that. I'm like, dude, tell me he's terrible on the mic. But me and bottom tier, through the course of these DMs, we're talking that it's easier to be a heel in wrestling than it is to be a face. It's easier to be a bad guy. It's probably more fun to be a bad guy than it is to be a face. And let me add bottom tier back to the chat. Okay, sorry, I had you muted. I didn't know if your dog was going to be barking in the background.
I hope he's not.
Comic Journey says Bret Hart was painfully dry on the promos. Only time he shined was when he had that pro-Canada heel run in the late 90s. And we have talked about this in our Instagram messaging back and forth, because I think one of the clips I sent you was a little promo from that time period. I said, tell me he's bad on the mic now. But I conceded that because he was – oh, no, I think I sent something from WCW where he continued to refer to Bill Goldberg as Bill Goldberg. Everybody else at that time referred to him as Goldberg, but he called him Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg. And I think even Mean Gene says, he goes by Goldberg. Well, you tell Bill Goldberg if he doesn't like it, he can come talk to me about it. And I was like, tell me he's bad. He's a bad on promos now. But I agree. Bret was dry. Bret was more about what's in the ring. I don't want to make excuses for Bret, but Bret is a huge Western fan. And in the Westerns, you have that one character who, doesn't talk much. They say little. And I know Bret, if you read his book, he always envisioned himself as a gunslinger. And so I don't know how much of that played into what he put forth on camera, because it does come off dry. But I don't know if I don't know if part of it was his gimmick. It's like, I'm going to be a guy who talks little and my talking is done in the ring. So, yeah. Zach says Bret Hart was similar to Bob Backlund. The gimmick was the lack of gimmick. CJ says Piper was perfect for the 80s. Didn't hold up well in the 90s. He would have been a great idea. They continued his manager run that ended with Sean O'Haire in the 2000s. I agree. The problem with Piper is it's always come down to money. He had money disagreements, and so he'd come back at WrestleMania 19. Comes in because Vince and Hogan are having a match. He pops in the ring at WrestleMania 19, hits Hogan with a steel pipe. But there's some they do the tension there, the tease. Who's he going to hit? Crowd erupts, goes crazy. Hits Hogan, so he stays on the roster for a little bit, managing Sean O'Haire. But of course, it's always with. If you listen to, I can't even think of his now. Bruce Pritchard talks about anytime that they would utilize Piper, it's always a money issue, and that's why he didn't last long there. Sean O'Haire's gimmick suffered because of it, and then tragedy struck O'Haire and whatnot. But yeah, all right. Losing my voice. Ollie, can you give me water?
Yep.
Piper versus Bret. Okay, we backstage thing. You weren't a fan of Bret. You weren't even a fan of Bret where he was gonna, hit him afterwards. He was gonna turn him around, but Piper, has the belt wrapped around his hand behind the belt. Bret says, would have had you. Oh, thank you. Ollie says water served up. Bret says, would have had you. Piper says, no, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. And I don't know. I just remember him yelling, "She be mine," like a pirate. I always thought that was a weird thing. So Piper just a little crazy. Sorry. I don't know. I didn't see him as great on the mic as I always hear people say it. But as Comic Journey's pointing out, I wasn't real big into the 80s wrestling. I didn't watch him when he was peak, when he's smashing a coconut on Superfly's head. I didn't experience that. I came in later. By the time I came in, he was injured and he was managing Virgil there at WrestleMania 7. So, all right, what are your thoughts on Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper? Intercontinental title match, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess let me put this out there because I don't know if you know. Okay, so the storyline is Bret Hart at a house show is running a fever. He's sick. Drops the title to the Mountie. This is a few days before the 1992 Royal Rumble. 1992 Royal Rumble happens. Bret's not on the show. Piper replaces him in the Intercontinental title match. Wins the Intercontinental title. He would have a decent run in the Royal Rumble because that year's Royal Rumble, the winner got the world title. So there's a chance he could win both titles in one night. And so we cut to WrestleMania 8, Piper versus Bret. Piper has never been pinned in WWF to this point. At least that's what everybody says. I can't verify that, but that's part of this storyline. Well, I'll talk about that afterwards. So Piper versus Bret. Bret wants his title back. Felt like he didn't fairly lose it. He doesn't get to defeat the guy he lost it to, but he's going to take on the guy that beat that guy. Take it away. Sorry.
I think what impresses me the most is how much Bret brought out of Roddy Piper. You talk about how you never see the greatness in Roddy Piper, and I tend to agree with you. He's not like this elite guy on the mic or this elite wrestler. He really falls into that category I've called like Stone Cold and Jake the Snake of like the bar fight guy. They don't really wrestle, and this was like Roddy's best wrestling performance I've ever seen. I was just like, wow, he's actually trying to wrestle Bret Hart. And I don't know what the motivation there was for that, but he did it, and Bret brought it out of him.
I mean, this is like peak Roddy Piper face. He'd been a face for a while, kind of WrestleMania 3. Maybe that's peak. I don't know, because that's when it was real big at that time. But this is the only title up until this point he's going to hold. I think he wins the WWF Tag Team title years later when he's retired and whatnot. It comes one of his comebacks. But I mean, so he's IC champ, had never been pinned. He's a face. The crowd is fully behind him. He's the bigger name in this match. So I would say the crowd is more behind him, at least at the start of this match, than they are behind Bret. Did you see that, or do you think you saw it differently?
I'm just kind of anticipating, how history shapes up. Brett's fixing to be groomed for the title to become the man. So I'm not really sure who's face or heel in this match. I'm
Well,
used to Piper being a heel and one of the great heels, in my opinion.
well, and they played it face versus face. All right. So,
I can
but
see
both of these faces, Brett has a history of being a heel when he was a tag team. Piper has a heel, a history of being a heel. I mean, he's, WrestleMania 1 challenging Hogan. But the cool thing is both of these characters, even though they're faces, Brett was never beyond taking advantage of something, maybe stomp, pull hair, whatever, because it was about winning. That was his character. So we know Piper's the same. So there's the tension in the match. When is it going to explode? Who's going to be the first one to because they're kind of just having a match at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think they lock up at first, and Piper actually takes advantage of Brett, kind of throws him down, rolls him, and Brett gets up. And I love the way Brett gets up because it's real quick, he's a little embarrassed that happened because he should be the one that gets the advantage in the grappling department. And I cannot remember who does the first big hit. I know there's a point where Piper holds the rope open for Brett. Brett gets in the ring.
Yeah.
Then Piper tells him your shoes untied, and then he socks him one. So he socks him one. So this is the comic journey says everyone knew Piper was going to drop the title. He had to take time off for his B movies. But so it's Piper that is the first aggressor that comes out. Now both the matches we talked about, Piper, Brett, Flair, Savage, had color. You know what? Both of them had blood, right?
Oh yeah.
This is a time period where there is It's all right, CJ. It's all right. When you're typing real fast, especially if you're doing it from a phone, you're good. That's internet speak. How dare you, sir? They Live was a C movie at best. Oh, but fantastic movie. Okay, so Piper versus Brett gets some blood. Savage versus Flair gets blood. WWF has a very, very big no blading policy at this point. Savage and Flair get fined. Brett and Piper don't. This is according to Brett's book. I've never read Piper's book because Brett said they were going to work it in. They didn't know Flair and Savage were going to go that route. They wanted to hide it. They said this match needs color. It needs something a little bit more because we're both faces, we're both good guys, but we're going to get a little aggressive at some point. And so when he throws him into the ring steps is when Brett cuts himself. He tells everybody it was a legit. It got cut the hard way is what he says.
That's a pretty deep blade job, in my opinion.
Brett would go on later to do this at December 1995's In Your House pay-per-view versus Bulldog. Another thing where he got thrown into steps or hit the guard railing and would cut himself. That time is a lot more blood than this time. But yeah, so they they pulled the blade job. I think the fantastic thing about this match is because Piper's on the verge of going full-blown heel. In fact, that's how it ends, right? They go back and forth. There's it becomes more of an aggressive match. But we come to the closing moments of the match. The ref takes the ref bump, and Piper's got the ring bell. He's holding it over his head. And the crowd's telling him no.
So
the crowd doesn't want him to do it because the crowd has been fully behind him this match. That they're going for it, and they're like, no, don't ruin this great match with the bell shot, right? And this is kind of when the sympathy turns towards Brett, right? Because, they both given their all. And so the crowd's kind of, cheering for Brett. What did you take from that ending?
I mean, I agree. It created a lot of drama. And I noticed there's this pocket of the fans that's the camera's kind of focused on from the point of view. And they're just out of their seats, pointing at the ref. It kind of cracked me up. And I mean, I've seen that shot angle done, or the bell shot angle done before, and it's just interesting that he actually. I'm thinking it's Piper. He's going to hit him with the bell, but he didn't. I was surprised.
And what happened right after that? He goes for the sleeper hold.
He goes for the sleeper hold, and then the coolest, one of the coolest pins I've ever seen. Bret Hart kicks off the turnbuckle, and I don't know what that move's called, but he covers Piper.
Yeah, he basically they're locked up, and Piper can't let go of the sleeper in the position they're in. So the moral of the lesson is, if you're going to take a shot, take the shot, because if not, you might lose. And so, but that's the that's the great story here is that Piper finally gets pinned, which I think some have said this is his only pinfall, at least on TV. This is only his pinfall loss, right? But he could have won. He could have won.
He had the
But
sleeper
he
hit.
could have lost. And not hitting him with the bell, not sticking to his own, not sticking to who he was is what cost him the match. Because Piper was the guy to hit him over the head, and he listened to the crowd, and doing that cost him the match.
Yeah.
Moral of the lesson, kids: if you got a shot, if you got a chance to hit somebody with the bell, do it, because you might turn around and lose.
Yeah.
But I think that's another added layer to the storytelling of this match, that because he didn't stick to his guns, because he didn't hit him with the bell like he normally would have, like he would have done a year before that, 2 years before that, 4 or 5 years before that, cost him the match. And even at the end of it, they shake hands, hug, or whatever. Piper can concede that, okay, Brett beat me, but I had him. And so both guys look strong at the end of this match. Brett is prepped and ready for his big title match in Wembley Stadium later that year. Piper looks none the worse because he could have won that match.
Yeah.
Let's see, Cali Comics in the chat. What's up, fellas? Mr. Nada himself.
I think those are the best finishers when they find a way to not necessarily have the loser lose all the heat and the momentum on his character. Like those kinds of finishes that just keep both guys the heat on them, like either guy could have won still. Those are great finishes.
CJ says Piper had an Academy Award caliber performance in Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. I've never seen that movie. There's some movie about something going to Frogtown. Like, I've always wanted to see it, but like I kind of don't want to see it because like in my head it's this great movie, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty bad, and I cannot remember the name of it. I'm waiting for Zach to point it out because I feel like he would know. But real cheesy sci-fi movie, 80s. I'm with you on that. I like it when both guys come out strong. Somebody didn't have to full on take the loss, or lose all their heat, lose all their momentum. Piper still had it. Hell Goes to Frogtown. There we go. CJ got on it. It's a fantastic movie. I've only seen the previews, and I'm like, oh, it's great. It's great. One day I'll sit down and watch it.
Hey, my phone's fixing to die. I'm gonna like mute the cam or whatever, and I'm gonna go plug it in.
Okay. Do you need? Okay, never mind. So what I was going to try to tell Bottom Tier was that it's interesting that, or yeah, you don't have to correct yourself every time. We know what you're saying, but I get it. I'm the same way. Brett, this is the second. Well, this is the first match that's kind of like this, where Brett kind of tells a story where he turns a crowd. The crowd is behind Piper. He's the bigger name. And so this elevates Brett, right? Because he's going to headline Wembley Stadium. He's going to headline the SummerSlam there, 80,000 in London with British Bulldog, Intercontinental title main event. But he's going to go move up to the world title status. Swayed the crowd. They were probably behind Piper more. They leave with him. At WrestleMania 13, Brett will do something similar where he's the face, Stone Cold's the heel, and at the end of that match, the roles are reversed. Brett has become heel, and Stone Cold has become the face. So Brett, just a master storyteller. Always appreciate his in-ring work. My favorite wrestler because he made it look real. He made it feel real. And I know Brett gets a knock because he treated it like it was real too much, but I love him for it. That'll be a knock on him because everyone will be like, Brett didn't know when to turn it off, I guess. He's a bitter old man for sure. That's what Lady Prime says. Cali Comics, that is my wife's poster, the LOD poster. Lady Prime is probably a bigger wrestling fan than I am, but I'm probably more knowledgeable than she is. So, one second, Bottom Tier, unless you got something to say.
One thing we didn't cover, I really like the arm breaker spot where Piper just cannot break free of the the arm breaker, and it's just got this classic cartoony moment where Piper's just squirming, and he just cannot get out.
I will have to go back and rewatch that because I don't remember that right now. Like, oh man, and like I said, that was a match. I've watched it twice. I had it on before we came on here, and I don't remember that. Man alive, I got to go check that out then so I can see that. But yeah, well, you're about to leave, right? Because you've got to get ready for work.
Yeah, and then my phone's dying.
Gotcha. Well, man, I appreciate it. Can I ask one question before you leave?
All right.
How did you feel about my Saturday stream? Like, I felt really, really good about it while I was putting it on. I thought it was real good to have like a topic, and I guess that kind of bled over from last week's wrestling stream. So the Saturday stream, I did my top deaths in my collection, and then I was able to string all these related events to it, and so felt like really strong about that stream. I know you didn't. We'll see you, CJ. Appreciate it. I know you weren't there to be there live. What'd you think about it when you watched it after the fact?
I thought it was really good. You really knew your stuff for sure, and then you learned me up some stuff on the comics, and I feel like you had a chance to really flesh out all your thoughts on a live stream versus like a 30-minute video.
Right. And so I was telling Mike that I would like to kind of because Countdown to Infinite Crisis and Infinite Crisis itself is like my favorite period of comics, and like they all link up. And so my initial thought was I was going to release videos on each title, whether it was a storyline or whether it was each issue. I mean, it was going to be like a long series. But I feel like doing it on a live stream might be a little bit better. Of course, I'm going to have to read everything beforehand and have my notes or whatever. I feel like doing it on a live stream is better because if someone has questions, like the interaction there, I thought that was the best part about me talking about, these deaths and how it connected. Because of the interaction.
Yeah, you get the interaction you're probably looking for on a live stream.
Yeah, right. CJ says you should have Kyle come back on and show all the rest of his stuff off for about 8 hours on your next stream. I have not contacted Kyle. I do want to send him something, but I know he's MIA at the moment. Are you still in touch with him, CJ? What's up, Sid? It is afternoon for us, but good morning to you, sir.
I hope Kyle's doing all right. I noticed he deleted all of his content, and I just hope he's okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I had heard from someone else that he got upset about something, but I don't know. But hopefully he's out there. Hopefully he's still watching the channel and supporting it. That was my biggest. That was my first hype man. What you got?
Since you were talking about zombies,
I
have 2 zombies that I like.
You have 2 zombies you like? What are you talking about?
From a game.
Oh, from a game? What zombies do you like?
Tank and Charger from Left 4 Dead.
Oh, the Tank from Left 4 Dead and the Charger from Left 4 Dead. So these are things he watches on YouTube. He's never played Left 4 Dead. So, but man, I appreciate it. Do you have a match you want to cover next week?
Not sure. I'll have to pick something I haven't seen. Maybe something you can get a first-time viewer's perspective on.
Okay. I'll try to message you tonight if I could think of something. Pick one of the Flair Savage pick one of the Flair Steamboat matches.
Oh man. All right.
I'm saying you still pick something. We'll still get something else, but I kind of want to go back and watch those because you saw them recently and you're talking about how great they are. So I want to go back and watch. Which one should I watch? First, second, or third?
I think it's the third one. I just saw a lot of technical wrestling from Steamboat. I believe in that third one.
Okay, I'll watch that. I'll go look that up. So that'll be one of the matches we cover, and I can't tell you what pay-per-view it was or what show it was, but I'll try to put that in my community tab. So we'll watch that and talk about it next week, and then I'll find another match. Let's stick with Bret Hart. Have you ever seen Bret Hart versus Diesel from Royal Rumble 1995?
Oh, I've never seen that.
Okay, 1995 Royal Rumble, Bret Hart versus Diesel. We'll cover that one.
Maybe Dave can get on.
Yeah, I'll try to message him. I'll try to be better about it this week than I was this past week. I did everything else. I got the streams lined up and scheduled, and I just forgot to message him. So yeah, we'll cover that. We'll cover match 3 in the Flair Steamboat trilogy. I think that's what, 89, 88,
yeah, 89,
or 89. Okay, We'll cover match 3 of that trilogy, and then we'll look at Bret Hart versus Diesel Royal Rumble 1995. And there's a reason why I kind of picked that one, but we'll discuss it next week. So,
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody that came out to the stream. I know we got a bunch at one point and lost some because I know it's all my followers are comic book fans, and so not everybody's a wrestling fan. But I appreciate all those who aren't wrestling fans that stick around because we're just doing some storytelling. But I appreciate everybody that hung out. Let me highlight Manny's comment before we go. Someone mentioned They Live. Piper and Frank fight beats a lot of modern movie fights. Yes, it does. Fantastic. And I love how long it took. It's such a long fight. Woo! Cali Comics. So
Ciao.
have a good one, everyone. Zach, I'm serious, though. At some point, if you want to come on and we can discuss wrestling, man, it'd be cool. You obviously have some knowledge. Same thing to CJ. If you want to discuss wrestling, because it seems like you have, that at least the later catalog, the golden age, if you will. So appreciate it. And Cali Comics mentioning the Jimmy versus Timmy match from South Park that is modeled after that fight. So good. Hit me up, brother. All right, fantastic. Put on the hat, Tim.
Jimmy's my favorite character.
So good. So two guys fighting over some glasses. Put them on, and so yeah, it's that dude. They Live is a great movie. I could say so much about that movie just because of like things that are going on nowadays. It's just fantastic movie. And what's his name? Who is it? Is it Carpenter's movie?
I'm not sure.
Right? He does it basically just has a bass line for the soundtrack of that movie, like the score, like boom, boom, just hitting a bass guitar on it. It's awesome. So much is good about that, and I understand it's like C-level movie, but it's fantastic. I missed the opportunity to buy the Roddy Piper toy that's based on his appearance in that movie. I saw it once and I never saw it again, and that's like instant regret. Yeah. Bottom tier, I appreciate you coming on. Do you know the comic They Live first appeared in? I do not. Bottom tier, appreciate you coming on. It was kind of last minute. I understand as far as picking the matches, so we'll have it be a little bit better. But that's why I kind of went with something you had recently covered. And I'll try to get you on early enough as far as before we get to the stream, we can discuss little things. But then again, like I said, I slept from the work. I slept because a terrible shift last night. I felt like I was walking in quicksand all night. So Alien Encounters number 6. So there you go. There's some trivia. Short story about John Nada in there. Fantastic. Well, guys, we're out. Appreciate everybody being here. It was a fantastic stream, fantastic, time with Bottom Tier Collector. Hope you guys had a good one as well. Have a great week, everyone, as we're on Monday. So technically this is going to be my Tuesday because this is my second night of work. And most of my shift, when I go in at 10, only 2 hours on Monday. The rest of the shift is Tuesday. So I'm a little ahead of you guys as far as the work week goes. But I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you once again, Bottom Tier, for being here. And I'm going to have Ollie send us out. Peace, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Say thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Bye.
Say
Bye.